midnight, the countdown begins. But not everyone will make it to midnight. 3 true horror stories, all set on New Year's Eve, where celebration turns into fear, and every step you take could be your last. Stay with me. And remember, if you enjoy stories that keep you awake, like and subscribe for more confessions from the darkest corners of reality. Story 1. I lost my friend. Before midnight, I didn't even want to go. New Year's Eve always made me nervous. Too many people, too much noise. Everyone drinking like nothing bad could happen because it was a celebration. But my friend insisted. She said we'd stick together the whole night. We promised we would. The party was already packed when we arrived. Loud music, dim lights, people spilling out onto the balcony despite the cold. Someone handed us drinks before we'd even taken our coats off. I remember hesitating. I watched the bartender pour it, though. I remember that clearly, or at least I thought I did. An hour later, the room felt wrong. Not spinning, not drunk, just heavy. Like the air had thickened and my body was moving half a second behind my thoughts. I turned to tell my friend I wanted to leave. She wasn't there. I checked the bathroom, the hallway, the kitchen, every face blurred together, unfamiliar and too close. My phone buzzed in my hand as I texted her, but my fingers didn't seem to work properly. That's when I felt someone behind me, not touching me, just standing too close. I stepped forward. They stepped forward. I turned quickly and saw him. He smiled like we already knew each other. "You okay?" he asked. His voice sounded far away. I nodded even though I wasn't. He offered to help me find my friend, put a hand lightly on my elbow. I remember thinking I should pull away. I couldn't. Something in my head screamed, "Don't let him take you anywhere." But my body wasn't listening. He guided me toward the hallway, toward the stairs. Every step felt slower than the last. I caught my reflection in a mirror near the door. My pupils blown wide, my face pale, my smile wrong. That fear cut through the fog. I twisted my arm out of his grip and stumbled backward. I don't remember what I said. Something loud enough that people turned to look. His smile vanished instantly. "Don't make this weird," he hissed. I ran. I don't remember getting my coat. I don't remember the elevator ride. I only remember the cold air hitting my face and realizing I had no idea where I was. Fireworks were already starting. My legs barely held me up. I ducked into a convenience store and collapsed against the counter, sobbing, trying to explain through slurred words that something was wrong. The clerk locked the door and called for help. I passed out before midnight. When I woke up in the hospital, my friend was there. She'd been looking for me for hours. She said she saw a man following her when she left the party, but lost him in the crowd. The police asked questions. They never found him. When I checked my phone later, there was a message I didn't remember opening, sent at 11:58 p.m. from an unknown number. "You shouldn't have run. I don't go to New Year's parties anymore." Some nights aren't about celebrating. They're about surviving. Story 2. The Uber ride that didn't end. I almost didn't order the ride. It was late, prices were surging, and every car nearby kept canceling. I stood outside the party watching fireworks test pop in the distance, refreshing the app over and over, telling myself I should have just stayed inside. When one finally accepted, I felt relieved. 5-star rating, thousands of trips, normal name, normal car. Nothing about it stood out. The car pulled up without music playing, no greeting, just the quiet click of the doors unlocking. And I got in, buckled my seatbelt, and immediately noticed how cold it was inside. Like the heater had been off for a while. We pulled away from the curb. At first, everything felt normal. City lights, other cars, people walking between bars, laughing, counting down to midnight already, even though it wasn't time yet. I checked the route on my phone out of habit. 22 minutes. 10 minutes later, I checked again. The time hadn't changed. I leaned forward slightly. Hey, I think the app froze. It still says 22 minutes. He didn't look at me. I know a faster way, he said calmly. The city thinned out faster than it should have. Street lights grew farther apart. Houses disappeared. Trees closed in on both sides of the road, tall and dark, their branches arching overhead. My phone buzzed. No signal. I told myself not to panic. Dead zones happen, especially outside the city. Still, my stomach tightened. Fireworks started in the distance, muted and hollow, like they were echoing through a tunnel. I asked him where we were. He smiled in the rear view mirror. It wasn't a friendly smile. It was measured, like he'd been waiting to do it. Almost there, he said. The road dipped downhill, winding sharply. The car slowed, then sped up again. I noticed the doors no longer unlocked when I pulled the handle. Can you stop the car? I asked. He didn't answer. I asked again, louder. The countdown began somewhere far away. 10. I kicked the back of his seat, hard. 9. The car swerved slightly, tires humming against the road. 8. Stop the car, I screamed. 7. He laughed, just once, quietly. 6. I unbuckled my seatbelt. 5. I braced my feet against the door and kicked again. Something clicked. 4. The door unlocked. 3. I threw myself out as the car slowed to turn. 2. I rolled down the embankment as fireworks exploded overhead, bright flashes lighting up the trees. 1. The car stopped at the top of the hill. For a moment, it just sat there. Engine idling. Reverse lights glowing red in the dark, like it was deciding whether to come back for me. Then it drove away. I lay there, shaking, until someone found me. Later, the police ran the license plate. It didn't exist. Neither did the driver. But when I opened the app the next morning, the ride was marked completed. Story 3. Someone was already waiting for midnight. I didn't want to be alone that night, but I didn't have a choice. My sister's house was old. 3 floors, narrow staircases, doors that never quite lined up with their frames. The kind of place that creaks in the middle of the night, just from its own weight. She asked me to house sit while she was away, and I told myself it would be fine. One night, how bad could it be? By 11:30 p.m., I realized the house felt different, the kind of quiet that presses against your ears like the walls are listening. Every creak of the floorboards sounded louder than it should have. Shadows stretched across the walls from the dim streetlights outside, shifting as if they were alive. I kept hearing tiny knocks, soft at first from somewhere upstairs. I told myself it was the old house settling. I tried to focus on my phone, scrolling aimlessly, but every notification felt delayed. Like my reflexes were slower than usual. By 11:40 p.m., the air grew colder. Not a draft, something else. My breath fogged in front of my face. Every time I stepped on a floorboard, I imagined someone following me, always just a step behind. And then I heard the footsteps, Slow, deliberate, not mine, not upstairs, not downstairs, just behind me. I froze, heart hammering, listening. My own movements echoed back at me, but I could tell the second set of footsteps wasn't mimicking me. They were independent, waiting, watching. I called out my sister's name, then remembered she was out of town. My voice felt weak, swallowed by the high ceilings and dark corners. I checked every room, closets, bathrooms, the attic, empty. At 11:52 p.m., the front doorbell rang. I grabbed my phone and checked the camera. Nothing, no one. I pressed the button to unlock the door remotely, thinking maybe the wind or a prank. But it didn't respond. The bell rang again. Then the back door handle rattled. I locked myself in the living room, heart hammering, trying to stay calm. I told myself it was probably just some pranksters or an animal. But the closer the clock ticked to midnight, the heavier the house felt, pressing in on me. At 11:55 p.m., the floorboards above me groaned again. Not creaking, but groaning, like someone pacing deliberately. I pressed myself against the wall, trying to make myself small, listening to the rhythm of those steps. My phone buzzed once, then died. No signal, no power. At 11:58, the TV turned on by itself. Static. White noise scratching against my ears. My skin crawled. The whisper came, faint, almost drowned in the hiss. Don't look behind you. The fireworks outside started, muffled through the walls. Normally, I would have smiled at them. Tonight, I couldn't move. Every nerve in my body was screaming. At 11:59, a cold wind brushed my neck. Someone breathed against it. My hair stood on end. My legs trembled. I tried to scream, but no sound came out. Then the lights went out. Silence, and then I felt it. A presence standing very close, watching, waiting. I don't know how long I stayed there. Seconds? Minutes? Time seemed to stretch unnaturally at midnight. I woke up on the floor in the morning light. The front door was wide open. On the inside of the glass, traced in condensation, was a message written backward, meant for someone standing outside to read. Thank you for staying. I never stayed alone in that house again. Some nights are meant for celebration. Some nights are meant for surviving. If you felt your heart race tonight, you're not alone. Hit that like button, subscribe, and turn on notifications, because there are always more dark confessions waiting in the shadows.